The 144,000 represent a collective body of believers. They are understood as a trans-temporal entity, existing across different ages. This group is designated as the cumulative elect. They symbolize a continuous spiritual lineage throughout history. A body of believers is conceptualized as being sealed, signifying divine protection and designation. This sealing implies a state of being set apart and secured by a higher power. The concept of being stored within a spiritual lineage suggests continuity and inheritance. This lineage acts as a conduit, preserving the spiritual identity and purpose across generations. Ultimately, it indicates a divine preservation over time, ensuring the enduring existence of the belief. The concept of a spiritual lineage traces its origins through significant historical figures. This lineage is understood to have begun with the first 6 spirits, establishing a foundational sequence. Key figures in this spiritual progression include Adam, Noah, and Abraham. The lineage continues through Joshua and David, marking important stages in its development. Currently, Jesus is identified as the latest figure in this ongoing spiritual succession. The 144,000 are not exclusively a final generation of believers. They represent the eternal remnant, a concept spanning all of human history. This group encompasses all believers gathered from every age and dispensation. It signifies a continuous lineage of faith, not limited to a specific time period. An eternal remnant is a concept awaiting a specific, predetermined trigger. This trigger event is identified as the death of the 2 witnesses. The death of these witnesses holds significant eschatological importance. Their demise will initiate a pivotal phase, often referred to as a final separation. This event signifies a harvest, marking a definitive conclusion or new beginning. The Great Sleep is a conceptual period spanning 6,000 years. During this time, a specific group of 144,000 individuals has been gathered. These individuals are described as having slept or waited. This waiting period occurred within various dispensations. The concept implies a state of dormancy or preparation for a future event. It signifies a prolonged period of divine or spiritual gathering and preservation. The concept of dispensations is central to understanding spiritual governance over time. These dispensations are directly linked to the influence of 6 distinct spirits. Each spirit is understood to have presided over a specific age or period in history. During these ages, the primary role of each spirit was to preserve the righteous seed. This indicates a divine plan for continuity and protection of spiritual lineage through different eras. The concept of a righteous seed represents a lineage of spiritual purity and divine favor. Its preservation is metaphorically depicted through a series of arcs across biblical history. These arcs symbolize periods or individuals chosen for protection and continuity of this lineage. Key figures like Adam, Noah, and Abraham are identified as early arcs of this sacred seed. Later, Joshua, David, and ultimately Jesus continue this symbolic chain of preservation. This metaphor underscores the divine safeguarding and unbroken succession of spiritual heritage. The Great Sleep refers to a significant period within a prophetic timeline. Its conclusion is marked by a specific trigger event. This pivotal event is identified as the death of the 2 witnesses. This detail is explicitly described in the biblical book of Revelation, chapter 11. Prophetic timelines often refer to symbolic events, marking significant shifts in spiritual or historical periods. The 2 olive trees are a symbolic representation, often interpreted as 2 key witnesses or figures. Their death and public display in the street signify a period of suppression or apparent defeat. This event is not literal death, but a symbolic cessation of their influence or testimony. The cessation of the Great Sleep period implies an awakening or a new phase of activity. It marks the end of a dormant or inactive spiritual era, ushering in a time of renewed awareness. The resurrection of the 2 witnesses marks a significant event in the prophetic timeline. Following their resurrection, their ascension occurs, serving as a distinct signal. This event acts as a clear indicator, signaling a forthcoming major occurrence. It signifies the imminent commencement of the period known as the harvest. The concept of the first reaping is introduced as a significant event. This reaping specifically targets a group referred to as the grain. Within this context, the grain symbolizes the elect. The elect are further identified as a specific number, the 144,000. This mechanism outlines a process of selection or gathering. It signifies the initial phase of a larger harvest or collection. The Son of Man is depicted as a central figure in a significant harvest event. This figure is uniquely identified as the agent responsible for initiating the harvest. The act of swinging the golden sickle symbolizes the commencement of this specific harvest. The golden sickle itself signifies a tool of divine or profound importance. This imagery conveys a powerful and purposeful action, marking the start of a crucial process. The concept of harvest in biblical context refers to the gathering of believers. Specifically, those alive and remain, 1 Thess 4:17, are designated for this event. This group is identified as the first fruits within the theological framework. The term first fruits signifies a distinct and select group of believers. This mechanism outlines a specific divine selection process for a particular group of individuals. The concept of first fruits involves offering the initial harvest or produce. These first fruits represent the best and earliest yields from the land. They are ceremonially brought up to a throne, signifying a sacred presentation. This act symbolizes their ascension, indicating elevation and spiritual significance. The offering is interpreted as receiving divine reception and acceptance. The concept of the second reaping is introduced within a specific narrative or theological context. This phase focuses on a symbolic element, often referred to as the grapes. In this symbolism, the grapes represent a distinct group of individuals. Specifically, the grapes are identified as the wicked. This designation implies those who are not chosen or are deemed unworthy. Therefore, the grapes symbolize individuals who are left behind in the reaping process. An angel is depicted swinging a sickle, initiating a distinct reaping action. This action targets the vine of the earth, symbolizing a specific harvest. The angel represents a different agent, distinct from previous harvest descriptions. The vine of the earth signifies a unique target for this particular reaping event. The concept of harvesting is used metaphorically to describe a selection or gathering process. Those designated as part of the second reaping undergo a distinct fate. Unlike others, these individuals are not presented before a throne, implying a lack of divine favor. Instead, they are metaphorically cast into the winepress of wrath. This imagery signifies a period of severe judgment or divine retribution. The dual harvest of Revelation 14 is a pivotal event in end-time prophecy. This harvest is initiated by the death of the witnesses. As described in biblical texts, it signifies a critical separation process, distinguishing two distinct groups. The first harvest involves the gathering of the righteous, often symbolized as wheat. The second harvest concerns the wicked, depicted as grapes for the winepress of God's wrath. The concept of dual harvest describes a process of physical separation. This separation is metaphorically represented by the wheat and the tares. The wheat symbolizes the true church, embodying authentic spiritual principles. Conversely, the tares represent the man-made church, distinct from the true entity. Thus, dual harvest signifies the discernment and division between these two spiritual constructs. The concept of the golden harvest, also known as the grain, is a significant theological principle. This harvest specifically targets a distinct group of individuals. The designated recipients are identified as the 144,000. These individuals are characterized as being sealed and alive during the period of the harvest. The concept of a golden harvest signifies a period of significant spiritual or divine gathering. This harvest is not conducted by human means, but through a specific divine agent. The designated agent for this harvest is identified as the Son of Man. This Son of Man is further characterized as the seventh spirit. This dual identification underscores a unique and divinely appointed role in the harvest. The concept of prophecy fulfillment is central to many theological doctrines. It signifies the realization of divine predictions or scriptural declarations. This particular action aligns with the prophecy, "Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up." This phrase originates from specific religious texts, indicating a future event. The fulfillment suggests a direct correlation between the event and the sacred writings. Such an occurrence is often interpreted as validation of faith and divine plan. The golden harvest represents a significant period of gathering and culmination. Grain is meticulously collected and stored within the barn. The barn is symbolically elevated to the status of a throne. This throne signifies a place of ultimate authority and divine judgment. The entire process symbolizes a harvest of salvation, preceding a period of divine wrath. The concept of the bloody vintage refers to a symbolic act of judgment. Its primary target is identified as the grapes, representing a corrupt entity. This entity is further specified as the vine of the earth. The vine of the earth is explicitly identified as Babylon, symbolizing global wickedness. The concept of reaping often symbolizes a period of judgment or consequence. In this context, the agent responsible for this reaping is identified as an angel. This angel is specifically stated to originate from the altar. The altar typically represents a sacred place of sacrifice, prayer, or divine presence. The angel's origin from the altar signifies a direct commission from a higher power. This indicates a distinct divine messenger appointed for the execution of judgment. The concept of reaping is often associated with consequences for actions. This particular reaping targets individuals described as fully ripe in deception. Being fully ripe in deception signifies a complete and pervasive state of moral corruption. It indicates a deep-seated and irreversible commitment to deceitful practices. Such a state implies a profound deterioration of ethical integrity and character. The concept of divine judgment is a recurring theme in religious texts, symbolizing ultimate justice. A powerful metaphor for this judgment is found in Revelation 14:19. It describes individuals cast into the great winepress of the wrath of God. This imagery conveys a severe and inescapable consequence for unrighteousness. The resulting judgment is vividly symbolized by the outpouring of blood, signifying destruction. The concept of spiritual arcs refers to entities that serve as repositories for souls. These arcs are presented as 6 distinct spirits, each with a unique historical presence. Throughout history, these spiritual arcs have played a significant role in various cultures. Their function is to house and preserve souls, acting as spiritual vessels. This concept highlights the enduring belief in the preservation and journey of souls. The concept of the 144,000 is central to specific spiritual interpretations. This group is not merely described as undergoing a physical death. Instead, they are depicted as entering a unique state of rest. This rest is specifically attributed to the spirit ruling their age. It signifies a distinct form of spiritual preservation. This indicates a special divine intervention or spiritual safeguarding. The Adam Noah sleep represents a significant concept within spiritual interpretations. It specifically refers to the patriarchal remnant, a preserved group from a particular era. This concept highlights the idea of a select few being divinely protected or maintained. The sleep metaphor implies a state of dormancy or preservation rather than literal slumber. It signifies a continuous lineage or spiritual continuity through challenging times. The Abraham-Joshua sleep symbolizes a significant spiritual concept. It represents the covenant remnant within the covenant period. This concept highlights the idea of preservation. It signifies the enduring nature of the covenant. The David, Jesus sleep, is a theological concept. It signifies the kingdom remnant. This remnant represents those preserved under the Davidic dispensation. It also includes those preserved under the early Christian dispensation. The concept of spirits often refers to distinct entities or forces within a given framework. In this context, there are 6 previously identified spirits, each with their own roles. A new entity, designated as the 7th spirit, is introduced into this established system. This 7th spirit is specifically identified by the name Michael. Michael is uniquely characterized as the Awakener, signifying a distinct function. This role differentiates Michael from the preceding 6 spirits, highlighting a new mechanism. Michael's role is not to preserve for a distant future, but to activate for the final age. This indicates an immediate and direct involvement in end-time events. His actions are characterized by awakening, not by passive storage. This active participation signifies a critical function in the eschatological narrative. Michael's intervention is central to the unfolding of the final age. The voice of the archangel is a specific frequency mentioned in 1 Thessalonians 4:16. This frequency possesses a unique power to unlock spiritual seals, It is specifically associated with the unlocking of the previous 6 spirits. The unlocking mechanism releases the accumulated harvest stored within these spirits. Thus, the voice of the archangel acts as a catalyst for spiritual awakening and release. The concept of the little horn originates from prophetic texts, often associated with a powerful, influential figure. Interpretations of this prophecy vary widely across different theological and eschatological perspectives. A contemporary interpretation identifies the little horn with the figure of Trump. This identification is based on specific analyses of current events and perceived characteristics aligning with prophetic descriptions. The name, Trump, holds etymological significance. It is linguistically connected to the terms trumpet and drum. These instruments produce loud, commanding sounds. This sonic association aligns with symbolic interpretations. Specifically, it relates to the horn symbolism found in the book of Daniel, chapter 7. This connection suggests a prophetic identification through linguistic roots. Daniel 7-8 describes a figure referred to as little. This little qualifier suggests an origin outside traditional power structures. The figure is prophesied to grow more stout than his fellows. This implies an unexpected rise to significant power and influence. The prophecy of Daniel 7-8 describes a figure known as the little horn. A key characteristic of this entity is its boastful mouth. This refers to the rhetoric employed by the little horn. The prophecy states this mouth speaks great things. This phrase indicates a pattern of arrogant and self-exalting declarations. Such boastful speech is a primary identifier of the little horn in prophetic interpretation. The deadly wound, described in Revelation 13-3, is a significant prophetic symbol. This wound is interpreted by some as a shot in the ear. A shot in the ear is technically classified as a head wound. This specific interpretation links the prophetic wound to a concrete historical event. The identification of the wound's nature is crucial for prophetic understanding. The prophetic text describes a significant event involving a wound. This wound is characterized by a miraculous and instantaneous healing. The recovery from this wound is presented as immediate and complete. This extraordinary healing causes widespread astonishment among people. The event leads to global attention and wonder directed towards the beast. As per Revelation 13-3, the world observes an event as a political assassination attempt. This event involves a significant figure targeted for elimination. From a worldly perspective, it is a geopolitical incident with immediate consequences. However, a distinct group, referred to as the sealed, interprets this event differently. They recognize it through a prophetic lens, specifically from Revelation 13:14. For the sealed, it signifies the beast surviving a fatal wound by the sword, fulfilling prophecy. The narrative centers on the emergence of a pivotal entity known as Michael. Michael is identified as the 7th spirit, signifying a specific rank or order. This event is depicted as occurring in the present moment, marking a significant timeline point. The rise of Michael initiates a final sequence of events, indicating a culmination or climax. Michael's actions signify a pivotal moment in theological prophecy. His role includes identifying the beast, a key figure in eschatological narratives. He is also tasked with gathering the 144,000, a specific group of individuals. These events mark the transition from the age of grace to the time of trouble. The little horn is a symbolic figure, referenced in prophetic texts. This figure is interpreted by some to represent a powerful leader. The leader is associated with a greatest world superpower. A specific duration of power, 3 years, is attributed to this figure. This period of 3 years is seen as synchronizing with 42 months of authority. Biblical prophecy often uses specific timeframes to denote significant events. Revelation 13:5 states, "Power was given unto him to continue 42 months." This verse describes a period of authority granted to a specific entity. The duration of 42 months is a key numerical detail. Mathematically, 42 months is equivalent to 3.5 years. This calculation confirms a precise timeline within the prophetic context. Biblical prophecy identifies a greatest world superpower in Revelation 13:2. This entity is symbolically referred to as the seat of the dragon. The seat of the dragon represents a dominant global power, It provides the foundational infrastructure for the actions of the little horn. This suggests a powerful entity, enabling a subsequent influential force. The 144,000 are a distinct group, not removed from the world before tribulation. They remain present amidst global turmoil and escalating challenges. This group serves as immune witnesses, observing events unfold. Their immunity is attributed to a divine seal placed upon them. The seal provides protection during a period of significant global unraveling. They are divinely safeguarded while bearing witness to the world's events. The concept of immunity for saints during plagues is described in Revelation 9-4. This biblical passage highlights a divine protection granted to specific individuals. The plagues are depicted as targeting only those who are unsealed. The immunity of the sealed serves as a visual proof of this distinction. This selective targeting creates a stark contrast between the protected and the vulnerable. The phenomenon is presented as a catalyst driving the world towards madness.